Hello and welcome to News, Views and Brews with Tonya. Hi, I'm Tonya. And today I have again been a bit boring. It's been again really hot, so again I've just been having some nice cold water with ice cubes. Hopefully tomorrow I'll be having some tea, depending on what the weather does to me. So welcome. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about indoctrination and what I feel that means in the current climate within society. Now normally indoctrination is when you don't really have much in the way of other options, you're closed off, you don't get to know much about the world around you, you are kind of put into a particular group or community, and that community is what you are dependent on, what your views, your identity can be about. So when it comes to things like LGBT plus members in this world, I find it interesting when you have certain people talk about schools and education, saying that children are being indoctrinated into being, a member of the LGBT plus community. And I just feel that that is completely incorrect, because whereas indoctrination is, very on the lines of propaganda, where it's, this is the message, this is true, and nothing else is true. We don't do that. We have a tendency, always, to go, hey, you're straight, cool. You're cis, cool. The difference, I think, is that we like to let people know that there's more than just being cis and straight. That if a child wonders, and a lot of people say, well, children don't know what their gender is, and they don't know this and they don't know that. We all know what our gender is, and for some of us, we've had to question it, but then we've not had any representation or information or any education about it. So then we feel lost and confused, because well, here's a heterosexual family with 2.5 average children, a mum and a dad, and okay, but that doesn't feel like me. Where can I go to find out any information? And it's really disheartening when people are saying, LGBT are forcing this on. We're not forcing anything. It's no different if you look at sex education. There is on one type of sex ed which is proven not to be helpful, which is just purely abstinence. Don't have sex, don't do this, don't do it at all. But then you have the more proactive sex ed, which is more on the lines of, if you don't want to have sex, if you don't want to get pregnant, if you don't want STIs, don't have sex. If you do want to have sex, please know that these are the ways to help make sure you're not going to have unwanted pregnancies, help to reduce the risk of, STIs, help reduce, all these different things. And again, it's that difference of sex ed, like progressive sex ed doesn't say have sex, it says you're human. If you do decide that that's what you want to do, here's how to be safe. Here's how to make sure that you know how to feel like it's something that you want, consent, that it's something that you trust, all these different things. And that's exactly the same thing with LGBT plus community. It's very much that same lines of, hey, if you're cis and straight, cool. We have nothing against you. Literally, why would we? And then you've got me who's pan, or other people who are trans and straight, or cis and gay, or whatever it is. But it's just to say, hey, here's some information about what you could be feeling. to help you not be confused. If the kid ends up feeling like, no, I am gay, I do feel this attraction to other people, and this best represents me with that label, okay. You could have somebody that's like, I'm not sure about my gender, or I'm not sure about my sexuality, to which then, they might decide that they are LGBT plus, or they might not. But it's allowing that exploration. And of course, there's a lot of misinformation that when you're looking at trans kids, it's, they're being forced to take puberty blockers, and they're forced to take extra estrogen, and they're forced to do this and forced to do that. Have you seen the waiting times? Kids aren't just immediately going through all these procedures to do these things, because it takes so much time. And I do believe that we need to take the time to make sure we understand what it is we want. I think that's absolutely true, because these can be very big, life-changing decisions. But again, saying that kids don't know what they are, how they're feeling, they're not robots, they're not dumb, they're not, we know what we were like, right? Like, for example, again, I was born as a cis woman. It has girl on my birth certificate. I agreed with that, so I'm cis. But I'm also pansexual, and all I had around me was heterosexualities. Mums and dads on television, music, songs, always about a man and woman loving each other. And, I had questions, because I'm like, but I don't feel that way inclined. I don't feel like it's just men or just women, you know what I mean? So I didn't have anywhere where I could go. And of course, during the school days of my time at school, we had Section 28, which meant that teachers weren't at all allowed to talk about celebrities, inventors, famous people in history who did amazing things, but were also LGBT plus. Again, the famous one, Alan Turing. We didn't know that he was gay, and that his reward for helping against, code breaking was, castration, so how they treated gays back in the day. And it is just disheartening to hear, you're indoctrinating. Well, if we were indoctrinating, we would say that LGBT plus was the only thing, and you can't be anything else, and it's this way or no way. But we don't. We're just saying, hey, we exist, and if you have questions, here's where you can go and take it from there. That is far less confusing than leaving a kid or an adult in a situation where they have nowhere to go. And I also find it interesting where people are like, oh my god, the trans agenda, the LGBT plus agenda. Well, how fragile is being cis and heterosexual when we have that everywhere, and yet some of us are like, that's not us, and we've seen nothing else. So, I find that difficult, that people assume that, there must have been something we watched or something that we listened to. And it's most of the time, especially when we had less internet and, less communication with other communities, no resources or education, that the only thing around us was heterosexuality. And yet, for some of us, we knew that didn't feel right. And if you wonder, well, how do kids know what their gender is? Think of yourself. When you were growing up, did he or she pronouns, did they feel right for you? If you're a cis man, when somebody says he, him, fella, what's up, dude, did that feel like it connects with your identity? Yes, awesome. But not everyone feels that way. And it's just important to show love, respect and consideration as we do for, cis straight people that live in this world. Again, I'm cis, so and I don't have any issues with trans people. I'm pansexual. I don't have any issues with straight people. And I always think back to when people are like, well, how do you know you're trans? How do you know you're gay? And I always think, well, how do you know you're cis? How do you know you're straight? How did you know? Because we're not all born cis and straight. It's not embedded. And I think once that's finally accepted, I think perhaps things could start to ease and get a little bit better. Because all we want to do is just share this world. That's it. Not to take over, not to indoctrinate, just to live, be happy, be healthy. No fights, no agendas. Just a place where we can be accepted, even get married without it somehow being undermined, such as, for example, being undermined because, certain civil marriages are not looked at as equal to standard marriages. So I'll leave that there. This has been Tonya at News, Views and Brews. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great day.